It's funny because I got to thinking about your birthday the last few days. Like, for as long as I can remember, your life has kind of been pretty much the same. But now I dare to say that your experience at 58 years old over the next 12 months is going to be maybe one of the more memorable years of your entire career. Would you agree with that?
I was thinking about that actually when I turned 58. I thought this is going to be the year that some fun stuff, crazy stuff's going to happen. I've been planning this for a while, and COVID happened, and got bored, and been wanting to do some stuff in the wrestling business because it's what I love. It's what I've always wanted to do, and now I'm getting a chance to do it. And I've got some plans coming up, so hopefully this year will be a year that to be remembered.
I can't wait to see it all unfold. It's going to be an exciting year, and we're glad that you're here with us on Something to Wrestle with John.
I share a birthday with Jerry Lawler, Dutch Mantell, and Dana Brooke. So,
wow, what a Mount Rushmore of birthdays!
That's right. Dutch and King had the same birth year, which was like like in the 1800s. But mine, of course, Dana much younger than all of us. But yes, the same birthday.
I love that. I don't think I knew that they were born on the same day in the same year. I mean, that was a day meant for Memphis wrestling right there, was it not?
That's right. God said, today I'm going to create 2 Memphis characters.
What is your go-to on your birthday? Do you have a tradition? Like, you always go to this restaurant, you always get together with those people, you always have a certain type of cake, your wife makes sure that y'all do blank. Is there one staple in the Layfield household for your birthday?
No, I'm not a celebratory guy. I don't celebrate, birthdays. For me, I celebrate it for family, but I usually don't even tell people it's my birthday if they don't know. So I was with Ron Simmons and Gerald Briscoe this past year down in Winston-Salem. So I had one of the best birthdays ever. It was just awesome.
How was WrestleCade? It felt like there was a lot of energy, a lot of excitement this year.
It was a lot of fun. I tell you, those guys do it right. There's so many talent down there. It's unbelievable how much talent is in that room, from several different generations, and how much the fans are spending, which is wonderful. But I mean, they're coming and they're getting autographs from so many different people, having a ball. Then they had the show that night, the TNA show, which I thought was just excellent. TNA, by the way, is just hitting on all cylinders, selling out everywhere. What an incredible story. Tommy Dreamer is just doing an incredible job there. Of course, Nick Nemeth and Joe Henry is, the Hardys. You got so much great talent there.
It really is an exciting time in pro wrestling, especially when you see a resurgence like we're seeing in TNA. If you've been sleeping on them, I highly recommend you check them out. All of a sudden, man, they got a lot of momentum over there. And that's a funny thing in sports and entertainment and live events, when you get some of that momentum. And it does feel like TNA has more and more of that right now. How much of that do you believe is the association with NXT? I know there was a lot of criticism when they first announced that, John. People were saying, oh, I don't know why people are falling for this again. It'll always wind up the same way. It'll benefit WWE and no one else. That doesn't seem to be the case with this TNA relationship. What say you?
I completely agree. And I also think that TNA, they have just got some really good talent right now. That Joe Henry is as over as anybody I've seen. It's unbelievable how much that young guy is over. And Nick Nemeth, I called most of Nick's matches. I was doing commentary for his matches. I was there for the cash-in after WrestleMania, one of the greatest things I've ever been a part of. Nick's never had a bad match. Then you throw an incredible, iconic tag team that's still as good as they've ever been, like the Hardys. And man, you've got just loaded talent. Jordan Grace, I saw her have one of the best women's matches I've seen in years. One of the pay-per-views, not this past one, but one before. They're one of the last pay-per-views. I watched it. I thought it was one of the best shows I had seen in a while. I thought it compared with anything that, WWE is obviously the gold standard. I thought it compared with WWE as far as the standard. I thought it was just fantastic.
Go out of your way to check out TNA if you haven't already. They're enjoying a lot of success right now, and there's a lot of great stuff happening over there on Thursday nights.
So, Conrad, let me ask you, have you ever seen wrestling any hotter than it is right now?
I mean, I do think you'd have to go back to the Attitude Era, where every, Walmart you walked into, you were met with Austin or Goldberg t-shirts. I mean, it's not quite to that level as far as pop culture, but as far as just the fervor for it, I mean, when there's enough where GCW can be running Hammerstein and TNA is doing record shows, like, there's a lot of momentum. And, as you and I are talking, there's a big press conference going on at a baseball stadium in Arlington right now. They're planning a big stadium show there too. It does feel like wrestling is hot across the world, whether it's over in Japan with what they've got planned at the start of the year. And I know there's some big plans for 2025 for both CMLL and AAA. You and I've heard some of those things. Like, it feels like 2025 is probably going to be, with Netflix and Saturday Night's Main Event, the biggest year maybe in the history of wrestling.
Yeah, across the board. Because we were talking about everything. When WWE and WCW got hot, ECW was obviously very hot as well. But you didn't have like a plethora of independents that could draw. Now you've got not just your independents that people know, but you got independents everywhere that people are running just shows, just spot shows that are selling out everywhere. It's an incredible time right now. And TNA just booked the UBS Center in New York for, I think, July 20th. That's 20,000 seat building. It's audacious. I love what's going on in the business right now.
I love what's going on in the business right now too. There's something for everybody, and we appreciate that. Of all the things you could be doing on a Monday morning, you're hanging out with us at somethingtowrestle.com. If you haven't already, be sure to hit that subscribe button and tell your friends about Something to Wrestle with John Layfield. Our topic today is the one and only Ron Simmons. And I think there's probably nobody more synonymous with you in your career than Ron Simmons. I mean, you guys, we talked about how hot the Attitude Era was. And when there was more people watching wrestling than at any other time before or since, there you were side by side with your old buddy Ron. Do you first meet him in the WWF, or had y'all met before?
I don't think we met before. If we would have, I think I would have remembered it. We became friends right away in the WWF when he came in with the blue helmet, which Stone Cold said Ron Simmons is the only guy who can walk in with the blue helmet and nobody say anything about it. So there he's got a silver helmet. There's the blue helmet right there. Holy cow, that's the worst thing ever. Vince loved like the old gladiators, the Serengeti, all kinds of stuff like that. I think Vince thought it was this wonderful idea, and Ron, of course, being pitched the story, it was like Ron thought he was kidding, and then he realized he was serious, and Ron said, "Yeah, that's great." It was horrible. It didn't work out well, but because it was Ron Simmons, it lasted.
So do you guys become quick pals before you're a part of APA? How do you guys become real life friends? Are you guys riding together or making towns or hitting the bars or all the above?
All the above. Ron and I got along really well right away. We were trained in much the same way. We both played football. He played at a higher level, 3-time All-American at Florida State. Bobby Bowden said he was the greatest, most impactful football player he ever coached. That includes Deion Sanders, by the way. And, I'm Barry Switzer famously, when they're playing from Oklahoma's playing Florida State, said, "How are you going to beat Florida State?" He said, "There's only one way. You got to figure out what to do with Ron Simmons." He was runner-up for the Heisman Trophy as a nose tackle. I mean, the guy was a different level football player. Had the bench press record at the Cleveland Browns. Broke Lyle Alzado's record. Did 225 48 times. When Mandrich did it 43 times, everybody thought it was so great. Years later, like 87, 80, whenever it was. Ron had done it 48 years before. I mean, Ron was just different level. And we hit it off right away. We had fun right away. We worked against each other a ton. It was always him and Scorpio against me and Wyndham on all the house shows. So we worked against each other a ton of times. And worked against each other in singles matches. We enjoyed each other being around each other. And so we were riding together, everything. One of the reasons they put us together was because we already were together.